if there is a video on my account that you watch, I hope it's this one. My name is Sean. I go by Auntie Sean on my socials, and most of my friends and family call me Auntie Sean because that's who I've always been. I'm that person everyone goes to for advice. I talk to dead people. I'm a psychic medium. But that is not my whole story. And I thought maybe a little bit of a background and history of who Sean is might give you a little insight onto who I am and why I do what I do to this day, and why I work so tirelessly to help people find peace in their loved ones who have passed and healing in their life. I hope you watch this because there's going to be a lot. It's going to be a long video, and it has a lot to do about a lot of the questions that I get all the time. And I think it's important that we understand the people who do this work that I do. So buckle in. It's going to be a journey. The first person I lost was my grandmother when I was 5 or 6. And after she died, very shortly after, I remember waking up in my bed one night and seeing this woman walk through my room. Literally through it, like she walked through a wall. And I remember being aware that this was my grandmother. I remember telling my mom the next morning, "Oh, Grandma visited me." And my mom, who is Cajun, grew up in a very Cajun family, was like, "Yeah, our loved ones are around us. You know, they visit us and things like that." I used to see spirits when I was a kid. And I was like, "Oh, okay." And so this was something that was very normalized for me. And then I got into school, and I was inhumanely teased and tortured by kids and my teachers and my principal. I was made fun of because of my weight. I was made fun of because I didn't grasp concepts as easily as other people did. I was very soft-hearted. I still am very soft-hearted. And for my next, 10 years in school, I was bullied and tortured and assaulted on a daily basis. I had teachers tell me in front of students that I was ignorant and stupid. I had kids physically assault me in front of teachers, and nothing ever happened. And I grew up having these experiences of having this awareness that my aggressors, my perpetrators, were all grieving and dealing with hard emotional situations that they didn't know how to discuss or talk about. I was attacked at 14 by 10 guys across the street from my house at 10 p.m. going to get my mom a Diet Coke. And they didn't take anything from me. They didn't take the money in my pocket. They just attacked me. We found out it was just because they saw me and I looked like an easy mark to just attack. And it was whatever. That night, we got a call that their parents picked them up from the jail and beat each of them as they were leaving. And I remembered feeling so bad for them that no wonder they attacked me. They get abuse regularly at home. I remember feeling so much for the people who hurt me. So I started studying and looking into this sense of like soft-heartedness and understanding why I was getting images or ideas or feelings or thoughts about what was going on with the people who had assaulted me and hurt me throughout my life. The adults and the students. And I realized that this was psychic intuition, this was intuitive empathy, this was whatever you want to call it. It was giving me insight into the people who were in extreme close proximity to me. I talked to my mom about it, and she explained how, well, yeah, I'm intuitive. Like I can feel when there's going to be problems in a space that we're in, so I leave, or I can sense when the vibe's off with someone. She's like, that's normal. She's like, that's just, everyone can do that. Because my mom grew up in a family where this was normal to discuss. Yeah, we all have vibes, we all have feelings. My mom grew up in a family of Cajuns who had traiteurs, who had healers in the family. This was normal for my mom's family. It wasn't something special, it was just part of life. And when I left school because of the trauma being too hard, I knew that this was something that I could use to help the people who were hurting in a way that they couldn't discuss. So I started studying psychic intuition. And while I was going to therapy, because I've been in therapy since I was a child because of all the abuse that I'd gone through, I kept asking my therapist, I keep having this understanding, I keep having this feeling, I keep having this, and this number of times, I'm 37 now, the several times in my life that I have seen psychiatrists and psychologists and therapists and counselors to double check that my mental health is okay, that I'm not schizophrenic, that I am not, delusional, because I want to make sure that what I'm experiencing is genuinely an intuitive experience. And how every step of the way I have been given a clean bill of health and told that what I'm experiencing must be something that they do not understand, because I show zero signs of delusion or schizophrenia. As a kid, as a teenager who has chosen to take this on, I had to start finding evidence. I had to start practicing this, and I did. At 14, I started asking anyone that would sit down for 5 minutes if I could read them and intuit them and sense them. And between 14 and 17, I had years of people validating what I was experiencing. People who did not know me, people who had no reason to lie to me. And then at 17, I found my abusers on MySpace, and I messaged them. And I said, hey, students I went to school with, hey, I know that this particular thing that was going on with you was happening, and that's why you were abusive to me. And I want you to know that I forgive you. And after 10, 15, 20 messages, I started getting emails back. I don't know how you knew that was going on with me. I never told anybody. But I'm so sorry for what I did to you. I never should have taken out my anger and my frustration on you. I'm so sorry that I did that. And after having 15 out of 20 message me back saying the same thing, I couldn't argue with the fact that I definitely was intuitive. It is something that I had to learn how to better and strengthen and use with accuracy, intentionally. And then over the next couple of years, I started doing this even more intentionally and more professionally to make sure I could do this to help people and understanding how people feel and how to talk to people. And I worked with my therapists on understanding my own emotions and my own feelings and my own grief and my own anger and my own issues, so that way I could understand what I was feeling from others. And then when I went to college in my mid-20s, I studied sociology and psychology. Granted, I am an art history major, but I studied why people do what they do and how they express themselves through art and other such. I studied spirituality since I was a child because I knew there was a spiritual component to this. At 19, I started reading professionally, and I started having clients who, because they felt such help from what I did, they paid me. I didn't even ask for it. They started paying me. And from that, I felt I could do this to help people. This has been a lifelong journey that didn't start with the fact that my mom died when I was 27, which did launch me into whole other areas of learning about grief and healing. But you need to understand that there are people like me, a lot of us out there, who do the work that I do ethically and evidentially, not because we were drawn to the money, but because we had a life of having to use the work on ourselves to survive and heal, and realize that along the way, others needed it too. So I gave it.